Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise to bring you knowledge that actually makes a difference. Today, we're diving deep into something that's, well, quite literally right under our noses every time we get behind the wheel. But we often overlook it. I'm talking about those seemingly small plates, the ones sitting below the main road signs, supplementary signs. You see them everywhere, guiding our commutes, marking parking spots. They even tell us how to handle complex junctions. But how deeply do we actually read them? And more importantly, do we really get the hidden power they have in keeping us safe and, well, keeping traffic flowing? Okay, let's unpack this and uncover the silent language of our roads. Now, our deep dive today isn't just pulling from general knowledge. No, we're drawing insights from some really invaluable material. We're talking about the lessons of Eris Zografos. He's a highly esteemed driving and traffic education instructor. This comes directly from his theoretical teachings at the driving school. It's the practical wisdom that shapes responsible drivers. So this isn't abstract stuff. It's the foundation of safe driving. And our mission today, well, it's to go beyond just acknowledging these signs exist. We want to analyze each type, understand its crucial function, and really nail down what you, the driver, need to do when you see one. We're here to cut through any confusion and give you clear, actionable knowledge. Stuff that could honestly prevent an accident or just a frustrating ticket.
What's truly fascinating here, and Zografos' teachings really highlight this brilliantly, it's that while the main road signs sort of shout their warnings or commands, these supplementary signs are called prosetes pinakaios in the Greek traffic code, the KOK. They're really the quiet architects of road safety. You could call them essential footnotes. The detailed instructions, they turn those general directives into precise, unambiguous commands. I mean, without them, the language of our traffic signs would just be incomplete. It'd be open to dangerous misinterpretation and, frankly, probably chaos. So this deep dive that's going to illuminate why these seemingly minor additions are actually vital, absolutely vital for creating a predictable, efficient, and, well, above all, a safe driving environment for everyone. It's about understanding those nuances, the details that stop simple mistakes turning into really serious incidents.
It's so true, isn't it? We're probably all guilty of it. Our eyes just instinctively go to the big signs, the bold red triangles, the circles, the blue info panels, and those supplementary signs, the smaller rectangles tucked underneath. They just kind of fade into the background, rarely noticed on their own. But like you said, they are absolutely indispensable. Our source material actually calls them the footnote or descriptor of road signage. It's a perfect description. They provide that critical context, that essential nuance, the specific details that turn a general instruction into something really specific, something you can act on. Without these footnotes, we're not just missing a bit of info. We're often missing the most crucial parts of the message. It's almost like trying to read, I don't know, a legal document without the small print. You'd miss the whole point.
Precisely. And that foundational definition is so important. Supplementary signs never stand alone, ever. Their entire power, their actual meaning, it comes entirely from being combined with the main sign. Think of them like modifiers in grammar, the adverbs, the adjectives of the road, if you like. So whether the main sign is a warning about a hazard or a regulatory sign telling you what to do, or even an informational sign, the supplementary sign adds that essential layers of specific detail. Imagine, say, a simple speed limit sign, 50 kilometer. Okay, on its own, clear enough for everyone. But what if that limit only applies to vehicles over a certain weight, or only during certain hours, or maybe only when the road's wet? See, without extra bit of info from the supplementary sign, the general rule stays vague. And that vagueness is not just inconvenient, it's where dangerous misinterpretations happen. It can lead to fines, or worse, accidents. This is really where clarity meets critical thinking, and where safety can be seriously compromised if we aren't looking at the complete message. That supplementary sign, it's the key. It unlocks the full intent and scope of the rule.
That's such a good way to put it. Clarity meets critical thinking. It really is like reading an incomplete sentence, isn't it? You get the basic idea, maybe the subject and verb, but you completely miss the full meaning, the vital context, without the modifiers. Like, if a main sign just says, no parking, okay, pretty clear. But then what if, below it, there's a little supplementary sign saying, accept taxes? Suddenly, the whole meaning shifts dramatically, but only for certain drivers. So the main sign's message, while it gives a basic rule, it's fundamentally incomplete, potentially even misleading without its supplementary buddy. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much info are we maybe unconsciously filtering out every day just by overlooking these small but really mighty signs? It's like, yeah, having half the instructions for IKEA furniture, you get the gist, but you'll probably end up with a wobbly table, right?
Indeed. And the core purpose here isn't just adding detail for the sake of it. It's about providing critical, extra information that specializes the main sign's message, making sure it's precise, effective. From a policy perspective, and our source material from Eris Sagrafos really highlights this, these signs aren't just decoration. Far from it. They are fundamental strategic tools in traffic management. Their importance for road safety. You really can't overstate it. They let traffic authorities and road engineers put in place really specific rules that address unique local conditions, or tackle particular hazards, or manage specific traffic flows in a very targeted way. Instead of using broad rules that might be inefficient or even counterproductive in some places, supplementary signs allow for this granular, intelligent control. And this strategic precision, it directly helps prevent accidents. It fosters a much more efficient and adaptable road network. It's actually quite an elegant solution to complex traffic challenges, letting the rules adapt to the reality on the ground.
Okay, so we've nailed down that these little signs are vital footnotes, giving us the full picture. But how exactly do they work? What's the hidden logic behind their power to guide us so precisely? It's not just random extra info, is it? Here's where it gets really interesting. Because these aren't just arbitrary bits of information. They serve very distinct fundamental purposes. And these purposes completely change how we interpret and act on the main signs. They turn the abstract into something you actually do.
Absolutely. You've hit on something vital there if we connect this to the bigger picture. Road safety, efficient traffic. Supplementary signs basically operate through three main interconnected functions: specialization, restriction, and context provision. And these aren't just academic labels. They are the fundamental ways these signs turn a general guideline, which, like you said, could be dangerously open to interpretation into a specific, unambiguous, and immediately actionable command for you, the driver. They make the rules precise. There's virtually no room left for guesswork, and that means significantly less room for error or misunderstanding. Each of these pillars contributes in its own way to a safer, more predictable drive.
Right, let's dive into that first pillar, specialization. This one seems to be all about clarifying the extent of a rule. So supplementary signs specify where it applies, when it applies, and even to what degree the main sign's rule is in effect. It takes us from a vague idea of a rule exists somewhere around here to a concrete understanding. This rule exists precisely here, right now, and applies to this specific extent. That's incredibly powerful, isn't it? Giving us solid, specific info to act on. That's got to be crucial for proactive, safe driving. Okay, take an example. A main sign showing a dangerous curve. On its own, that's just a general warning, right? Be careful, expect something unexpected somewhere ahead. It's broad. But when you combine it with a supplementary sign saying, in 300 meters, the whole message gets specialized instantly. It's not just some curve nearby anymore. It could be 100 meters, could be a kilometer. No, it's a precise alert. Dangerous curve exactly 300 meters ahead. So as a driver, what do? You get this essential quantified early warning. This gives you ample critical time to proactively reduce your speed. Maybe downshift, adjust your driving style, like moving to a safer lane position, getting ready for potential braking, or even just mentally preparing yourself. You prepare for that specific challenging road condition before you even reach the danger zone. And this proactive adjustment, it's crucial for preventing loss of control, especially in bad weather or on roads you don't know or visibility is poor. It's really the difference between being surprised by a sudden sharp turn and being totally prepared for it, executing the maneuver safely and confidently.
And to elaborate on the science behind it, if you will, why 300 meters? Or maybe 150 meters in another case. It's not arbitrary. Road engineers actually calculate these distances. It's based on a whole mix of factors: typical speeds for that road, average human reaction times, which are often slower than we think, especially if we're a bit distracted, and crucially, average braking distances on different surfaces, different gradients. It's all designed to give you that critical psychological and physical buffer. Time to slow down safely without slamming on the brakes, especially if visibility is limited by fog, rain, or just the curve itself. That 300-meter sign, think of it as your invisible safety net. It ensures you have the time and space you need to adapt properly. Without it, the main sign is just descriptive. With it, it becomes prescriptive, protective.
That's a fantastic point about the engineering behind it. It's not random, it's calculated safety, giving us the tools to react properly. Okay, another great example of specialization. A no overtaking sign. Without anything else, a driver might assume, well, this ban lasts forever, or for a long, unspecified stretch that could lead to frustration or worse, dangerous guesswork. But when it's got that little 200-meter sign underneath, it immediately clarifies this isn't indefinite. It marks a specific 200-meter segment where overtaking is banned. So as a driver, you get precise, quantifiable knowledge. You know exactly how long the restriction lasts. This stops you from making risky, uncertain moves, like trying to overtake when you're not sure how long the ban is, potentially ending up head-on with someone. You know exactly where the restriction starts and, crucially, where it ends. Then you can resume normal driving safely and legally. This kind of specific info massively reduces the risk of collisions, especially where visibility is limited, or near junctions, or on narrow roads where overtaking is always risky anyway.
What's truly vital about this specialization function is how precisely it eliminates that uncertainty and provides crucial reaction time. It directly contributes to preventing accidents. It transforms a broad caution into a specific, often time-sensitive instruction. This isn't just about giving you more information. It's about creating a real, tangible safety buffer, knowing exactly where a hazard starts or ends, or for how long a restriction applies. It empowers you, the driver, to make timely, informed decisions. It also reduces your cognitive load, your stress. Think about the mental energy saved by knowing a restriction ends in 200 meters, instead of constantly scanning for an end of restriction sign that might be miles down the road. This proactive driving, helped by precise signs, significantly cuts down risks that come from ambiguity or lack of preparation. It's really fundamental to creating predictable and therefore safer road environments.
That clarity about where and when is incredibly powerful, but what about who? Who does the rule apply to? Because not every rule is for every single vehicle, right? This leads us nicely to the second pillar, restriction of application. This is where these signs make rules really targeted. They deliberately narrow the scope. They effectively limit a general rule so it only applies to specific categories of vehicles. This capability allows for really flexible and intelligent traffic rules tailored precisely to specific road needs. Instead of just painting every vehicle with the same broad brush, which would often be inefficient, maybe even unsafe, okay. Consider a main sign. Speed limit 50 kilometer. Seems simple. Everyone does 50. But what if below it, a supplementary sign specifies trucks 3.5T? Right away, that tells you the 50 limit is not for all vehicles on that road. It's a critical safety measure specifically for heavy vehicles, trucks over 3.5 tons. So as a driver, if you're driving a truck over 3.5 tons, you absolutely must stick to that 50-kilometer limit. You understand it's probably there because of the characteristics of your vehicle on that specific road section, maybe a steep downhill, a sharp curve, a residential area. But if you're driving a lighter vehicle, a car, motorbike, small van, this specific restriction doesn't apply to you. The general speed limit for that road section applies, which might be higher. This allows smoother, more appropriate traffic flow for lighter vehicles without compromising safety for the heavier ones that need that lower speed for control.
And just to touch on the logic behind it, why single out trucks? Well, the physics are pretty undeniable. Heavier vehicles have significantly more kinetic energy. That directly impacts their braking distance, their overall maneuverability. A truck over 3.5 tons is going to take much longer to stop than a car, especially if the road's wet or slippery. Their higher center of gravity also makes them more prone to rolling over on sharp curves if you're going too fast. Plus, their sheer weight causes more wear and tear on the roads. So by imposing a specific lower speed limit for these vehicles, authorities are proactively dealing with these inherent risks. It ensures greater safety for all road users, not just the trucks. It's a prime example of targeted safety engineering, based purely on vehicle dynamics.
That's a really important distinction. Understanding the why behind these targeted rules makes perfect sense. Another powerful example, a no entry sign. Usually that means stop, nobody gets through. Absolute. However, if it's got a supplementary sign underneath saying accept buses, it completely changes the dynamic, the purpose of that road section. This really highlights how some rules prioritize specific transport modes, ones crucial for public services. In this scenario, all vehicles except buses are banned from entering that road. So as a driver, your immediate job is check your vehicle type. Are you in the accept category? If you're driving a bus, you know you're allowed in. This ensures public transport keeps moving smoothly, stays efficient, avoids traffic conflicts or unnecessary detours for vital services. For everyone else, it's a clear, absolute instruction: find another route. This keeps those public transport lanes clear and working effectively. It's subtle, but has a huge impact.
These targeted restrictions, they have really significant strategic implications, truly. They let traffic authorities optimize traffic flow while boosting safety exactly where it's most gained. And they do it without resorting to overly broad, inefficient blanket restrictions that might just hinder the smooth movement of most traffic unnecessarily. Think about bus-only lanes or restricted access for heavy vehicles in certain city areas. It helps manage congestion, cut pollution, improve public transport reliability. This intelligent application of rules using supplementary signs is a prime example of how road design and regulation can be both highly efficient and exceptionally safe. Much better than just using one-size-fits-all solutions that often end up not fully satisfying anyone. It's about creating a multi-layered responsive traffic system that adapts.
Okay, we've covered where rules apply and for whom. Now let's dig into the third pillar, providing context and conditions. This is where supplementary signs really paint the full picture, adding crucial situational details. They introduce geographical conditions, temporal conditions, or other specific factors that are absolutely necessary to interpret the main sign correctly. They essentially bind the rule to its specific environment and circumstances, makes it dynamic, responsive to real-world factors. They tell us the when and under what conditions we need to obey. Right. Take a seemingly simple parking sign, tells you where you can park. Clear enough, you'd think. But if it's paired with a supplementary sign stating 008.000000, it immediately clarifies. It defines the permitted period for parking. So as a driver, you understand parking is only allowed between 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening. Outside those specific hours, parking is forbidden. Maybe it becomes a loading zone then, or a bus lane during rush hour, or even a street cleaning area. This specificity stops you getting unnecessary parking tickets, saves you fines, and crucially, ensures that space is available when it's most needed for smooth traffic or accessibility in busy urban spots. It turns a static instruction into a dynamic, time-sensitive rule that helps manage city space efficiently.
And the rationale behind it. Well, time-based restrictions like this are everywhere in urban planning because traffic demands and city functions change dramatically throughout the day. A street might be mainly for retail access during business hours, needing lots of parking, but then in the evening, it might transform into a high-capacity route for commuters, needing clearways. Or maybe it's just residential parking at night. These signs let authorities regulate the exact same physical space for multiple, sometimes conflicting uses across a 24-hour cycle. It maximizes utility, minimizes congestion. Without them, you'd either have constant parking chaos or rules that are just too restrictive and don't benefit anyone properly.
Makes sense. And what about something like a direction sign? Maybe an arrow pointing for a turn combined with a supplementary sign saying left. This isn't just general info, it clarifies that the main sign's message applies directionally. For instance, if the main sign is yield or no U-turn, that supplementary left sign means the instruction applies specifically to drivers intending to turn left, drivers going straight or turning right. They aren't subject to that specific instruction at that junction. This guides your decision based on where you're actually going, makes complex intersections much easier to navigate. It streamlines traffic by making sure you only process the information relevant to your specific move.
Yes, and this directional specificity is absolutely crucial in complex city intersections or on multi-lane roads. It cuts down ambiguity and the potential for misinterpretations that could lead to collisions or blocking traffic. Imagine a no left turn sign. Now, sometimes that might have an except buses or between 7 and 9 a.m. sign too. But the directional supplementary sign itself, like left, ensures that the main rule yielding, no U-turn, whatever it is clearly understood to apply only to that specific turn. It stops drivers from wrongly applying the rule to other directions and messing up the traffic flow. It's all about precision in complex environments.
And then we have those really indispensable start or end of a regulation signs. Super simple design, usually. Yet they bring absolute, unequivocal clarity. They mark the precise boundaries of where a rule applies. Imagine a main sign indicating, say, a construction zone with a reduced speed limit. Without a supplementary end sign, you might just keep driving slowly long after the actual hazard is gone, creating unnecessary queues. Or worse, speed up too soon and accidentally enter an active work area. With these start and end signs, you, the driver, know exactly where a rule begins and where it stops being valid. It removes all guesswork about its duration, prevents both unnecessary caution and premature risk-taking. They're critical for managing smooth transitions on the road, ensuring compliance throughout the actual regulated section and no further.
What's really striking about all these contextual elements, the time, the direction, the start 10 points, is how they stop a rule from being just an abstract command. Instead, they transform it into a living, dynamic part of the road environment. They acknowledge that roads aren't static. Conditions change, time of day, vehicle type, specific geographical features. By providing this context, supplementary signs allow the whole traffic system to be far more intelligent, more responsive. That leads to more efficient traffic management and critically enhanced safety for everyone on the road. It's about making rules relevant, understandable, and enforceable in their specific setting, ensuring our road networks can adapt to the huge demands we place on them. It's a subtle dance, really, between the rule and the reality.
Okay, we've talked a lot about how these signs work, their functions, specialization, restriction, context provision. Great stuff. Now let's really shift focus entirely to the why. Let's connect these signs directly to your safety, your wallet, your everyday driving experience. So what does all this actually mean for you, the person behind the wheel? Beyond just knowing the rules, what's the hidden power you might have been missing?
Well, it means that the correct and systematic use of these supplementary signs translates directly into profoundly measurable benefits for road safety, for efficiency. Our sources, particularly the teachings from Eros Zographos, they clearly indicate this. It's not just theory. It constitutes a direct, very cost-effective investment in reducing traffic incidents and improving the flow of, well, everything, commerce, people. When these signs are used effectively, they influence driver behavior in really positive ways. They make roads more predictable, less ambiguous, and consequently, less prone to the kinds of errors that lead to accidents. Think of them as a silent, ever-present co-pilot, providing that critical information exactly when you need it most. Hashtag 3.1, preventing inadvertent violations.
Right. And one of the most immediate impacts, preventing inadvertent violations. Here's a thought. Maybe most accidental violations aren't about people trying to break rules, but just missing information. Clarity truly is the strongest ally against accidentally breaking the rules. Think about it. When you know, for example, that a no overtaking rule applies for 200 meters because there's a clear supplementary sign telling you so you don't rely on guesswork or vague assumptions that often lead to mistakes. You have a concrete distance, a specific parameter. This precision just eliminates the guesswork that could otherwise lead to a dangerous maneuver, maybe done completely unknowingly, that breaks the rule. How many times have you driven past a no parking sign and thought, wait, is this all the time? Just weekdays, only for residents. The clarity delivered unequivocally by the supplementary sign massively boosts compliance because drivers know exactly what's expected and for how long or for whom. It's incredibly hard to accidentally break a rule when it's been so meticulously defined for you. Saves you the headache of a fine, maybe even the insurance claim from a minor bump.
And this clarity, it also significantly reduces driver stress. Cognitive load. When rules are ambiguous, drivers are constantly guessing, scanning, making snap judgments that increases the chance of making a mistake. But when the information is precise, you, the driver, can actually allocate your mental energy to watching the road, watching traffic, rather than trying to decipher an unclear sign. That leads to more confident driving and ultimately safer driving. It's about building a predictable environment and predictability. That's a cornerstone of road safety. Hashtag 3.2, reducing accident probability. Absolutely. And this clarity directly feeds into reducing accident probability. Specific, timely information is fundamental for preventing accidents. Let's use that example again from our sources. A warning for a dangerous curve in 150-meter numbers. That gives the driver the necessary reaction time, that crucial window to adjust their speed, adjust their path, and get through that section safely. Without that 150-meter context, you might approach the curve too fast, only realizing the danger too late, maybe even mid-corner. This advanced preparation drastically reduces the risk of losing control, veering off the road, or hitting oncoming vehicles. It allows for a controlled, measured response rather than a frantic last-second correction. Studies have shown this again and again. Clear, unambiguous signage can significantly cut accident rates, especially in places with specific known hazards. It's about providing that mental and physical space needed for a safe, anticipatory response. Hashtag 3.3, ensuring driving with awareness of real conditions.
Furthermore, these signs make sure you're driving with a true awareness of the real conditions, not just blindly following some abstract command. I love how our source material described a rule without its supplementary sign, like an incomplete sentence without modifiers. It's brilliant. It might convey a meaning, sure, but it's deficient, potentially misleading because it lacks the full, vital context. These supplementary signs, they let you understand the actual conditions on the road, the precise distance to a hazard, the specific vehicles affected, the exact hours a parking rule applies, and often, crucially, the reasons behind a particular rule. This deeper understanding, it fosters genuinely informed decision-making. It allows you to react not just to the rule itself, but to the reality it describes. You're not just obeying, you're comprehending the logic, the rationale, the specific application. That empowers you to be a more adaptable, safer driver. It takes you from being just a passive follower to an active participant in road safety.
Exactly. And this theoretical analysis of the benefits, it really finds its full meaning when we look at specific everyday scenarios. It's about translating these principles into practical, on-the-road understanding, which is precisely what the teachings of Eros Zographos aim to achieve for every single driver. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. Understanding how these signs directly influence your safety, your efficiency, and your overall confidence behind the wheel.
Okay, so let's take everything we've discussed, these three pillars: specialization, restriction, context provision, and bring it right down to the practical, everyday situations you face as a driver all the time. We'll walk through specific examples, give clear interpretations, and the explicit actions needed for each, just as outlined in that invaluable material from Aristographos. This is where we really apply the knowledge.
Yeah, and it's crucial to just reemphasize here. Supplementary signs are not mere footnotes or minor details, not at all. They are often the decisive factor that turns a general, maybe vague rule into an applicable and highly effective road safety tool. Without them, that precision needed for safe, legal, and efficient driving is simply lost.
All right, let's kick off with a really common one. Demands your attention well in advance. Tell us about this. Main sign. Dangerous curve. Supplementary. In 150 meters. What's the immediate action and the thinking behind it for a driver here?
Okay, this combination, it provides critical foresight. It's a genuine warning system. It means the dangerous curve isn't right here, right now, but it starts 150 meters ahead. Your immediate action is to acknowledge that early warning and use that specific distance to prepare yourself. You should start adjusting your speed before you reach that 150-meter point. Gently ease off the accelerator, maybe downshift, make sure you're stable and controlled for what's coming. The rationale, purely preventative. This proactive speed reduction is essential to prevent losing control, especially if the curve is sharper than you expect or has a weird camber, or if conditions like rain or gravel are present. It gives you the necessary time to assess the curve, find your best line through it, and navigate it safely, avoiding sudden braking that could destabilize your car or surprise drivers behind you. This sign literally gives you the gift of time and preparation.
That's a great illustration of proactive driving. Perfect. Next up, a rule about overtaking. Main sign. No overtaking. Supplementary. 200-meter rules. How should you interpret this, and what's the specific behavior expected?
Right here, the supplementary sign gives you a precise boundary for that restriction. It tells you overtaking is banned, not indefinitely, but specifically for the next 200 meters. Your action is crystal clear. You must not attempt to overtake any vehicle within that 200-meter stretch. Doesn't matter how clear the road seems. The rationale is paramount for safety. This clarity is crucial for avoiding dangerous moves, like pulling out to overtake only to realize the restriction still applies, leaving you stuck in the path of oncoming traffic or forcing risky last-minute maneuvers. By understanding this specific 200-meter segment, you significantly reduce the risk of head-on collisions, especially in areas where visibility might be limited, near junctions, or where unexpected hazards could pop up. You wait until after that 200-meter segment ends before even considering overtaking, assuming it's safe and legal otherwise. It just removes all ambiguity about how long the ban lasts.
Okay, this next one really plays with your expectations of a standard no entry sign, main sign, no entry, supplementary, except buses. This totally changes the meaning, doesn't it? What's the driver's task here?
It absolutely does. Completely alters how the main sign applies. This supplementary sign provides a vital, specific exemption. It means entry is forbidden for all vehicles other than buses. Simple as that. So your immediate task as a driver is identify your vehicle. Are you driving a bus? If yes, you are explicitly permitted to enter that road section. This ensures public transport flows smoothly, stays uninterrupted. The rationale behind this: it prioritizes public service efficiency, reduces congestion for most other traffic, and often aligns with urban planning goals to encourage public transit use. However, if you're in any other type of vehicle, car, truck, motorbike, you must not enter. You need to find an alternative route. Trying to enter in a non-bus would be a clear violation, could lead to fines, or worse, actually block essential public services.
Right. Moving to parking rules, which, let's be honest, can often be a minefield of confusion. Main sign. Parking. Supplementary. 8.00, 20.00. What does this tell the driver, and what happens outside these hours?
This sign gives you a clear temporal context. It defines the permitted period for parking. It means parking is allowed only between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Your action is to make sure your vehicle is parked within these hours if you plan to leave it there. Outside these specific times, parking in this spot is prohibited. No parking before 8 a.m., no parking after 8 p.m. The rationale for time restrictions like this, it can be varied. Maybe allows for loading, unloading outside business hours. Maybe converts the lane into a bus lane or clearway during peak traffic. Maybe it's for street cleaning. This specific information helps you avoid fines for illegal parking, and it ensures these spaces are available when they're most needed for their intended purpose, helping overall traffic flow and accessibility in busy areas. You absolutely must ensure your vehicle is moved before 8 p.m. or not parked before 8 a.m. if you want to avoid a violation. It's not a suggestion, it's a strict boundary.
Got it. Here's one addressing specific vehicle types linking back to our restriction pillar. Main sign, speed limit, 50 kilometers. Supplementary, trucks 3.5T. What's the driver's responsibility here, both for the truckers and for other drivers?
Yeah, this is a classic and really crucial example of restriction by vehicle category. It's designed for specific safety needs. It means the 50-kilometer speed limit applies only to trucks heavier than 3.5 tons. So if you're driving a truck that exceeds 3.5 tons, you must adhere to this 50-kilometer limit. No exceptions. The rationale, as we touched on, is rooted in vehicle physics. Heavier vehicles need longer to stop, they're less maneuverable, higher center of gravity, more prone to instability at higher speeds, especially on curves or down hills. This restriction is there for the safety of the truck driver, their cargo, and everyone else on the road. However, if you're in a lighter vehicle standard car, motorbike, smaller van, this specific restriction does not apply to you. You would then follow the general speed limit for that road section, which might well be higher. This intelligently targets the higher risk vehicles without unnecessarily slowing down all the lighter traffic. It optimizes safety without needing universal limitations.
Okay, and finally, a very common directional one, adds crucial clarity at junctions. Main sign, direction, like an arrow indicating a turn. Supplementary, left. How does a driver process this in relation to the main sign?
This supplementary sign clearly defines the directional applicability of whatever the main sign is saying. It tells you that the instruction or information given by the main sign, whether it's a yield, a no U-turn, a stop, or even an info sign about a particular lane, applies specifically to drivers intending to turn left. So your action is to interpret the main sign's meaning only as it pertains to making a left turn if you're planning to go straight ahead or turn right at that junction. The specific instruction related to left does not apply to your maneuver. The rationale is to prevent confusion and streamline traffic flow at complex intersections, making sure drivers apply the correct rule to their intended path. This prevents misdirection, unnecessary delays, even collisions caused by misinterpreting rules meant for other directions.
It's genuinely fascinating, isn't it? Seeing how each of these supplementary signs, when you combine it with its main partner, creates such a precise, unambiguous instruction for the driver. It really underscores their massive importance. Proves that often, yeah, the smallest details carry the most weight. And our source material, that Unclawed Scott's Tale 132 self.pdf, the one that formally lists these signs with official numbering like bar 41 to UNOCOS 19 in the Government Gazette, that really drives home that this isn't just theory or, common sense driving. This is rigorously codified law. It emphasizes their established legal authority and the ongoing commitment to clear official traffic regulation. These are legally binding instructions, meticulously designed for clarity and safety. It proves the depth of thought put into every detail of our road network.
So, to sort of summarize our deep dive today, it's abundantly clear, isn't it? Supplementary signs are far from being secondary or just decorative bits on the side of the road. On the contrary, they are fundamental, absolutely indispensable tools for achieving clarity, predictability, and ultimately enhanced safety right across the entire road network. Their unique ability to specialize rules, restrict their application, and provide crucial context. That's precisely what enables us to create an intelligent, efficient, and truly effective traffic management system. They are the backbone of nuanced road communication. They prevent those ambiguities that so often lead to frustration and, worse, danger.
And this brings us right back to that central philosophy, which was so well put in our source material from Eryxagoras' teachings. The main sign gives the rule. The supplementary gives the measure. And this measure, it's not abstract, is it? It's concrete, precise, absolutely vital. It's the distance in meters to a hazard. The duration in hours a restriction applies. The specific type of vehicle the rule targets, or the precise direction the rule points to. Without this measure, the rule just becomes ambiguous. It's open to dangerous misinterpretation, and ultimately, it's largely unenforceable in a practical, consistent way. It's the critical difference between knowing what and knowing what exactly, where exactly, when exactly, and for whom exactly. That specificity, it's the unsung hero of safe driving.
And this profound importance, it places a significant responsibility on every single driver. It underscores the critical need for continuous learning, for heightened awareness. Ignoring the importance and the specific message of supplementary signs, that's essentially accepting a system that operates with incomplete, potentially misleading information, which, quite frankly, is gambling with your own safety and the safety of others. Therefore, we wholeheartedly encourage you, the listener, develop a truly heightened awareness of these signs in your daily driving. Don't just glance, actively read them, interpret them, internalize their messages. And from a policy perspective, our sources also make a strong case. a call to authorities for the systematic, rational, uniform use of these signs across all road networks. Consistency is key. This consistency, combined with continuous driver education on how to interpret them correctly, is presented as one of the most cost-effective investments we can make in drastically reducing accidents and fostering a robust, nationwide culture of road safety. It's a small detail, perhaps, but with monumental, potentially life-saving impact.
And that leads us to a final, provocative thought for you to carry with you on your next drive. We've seen how supplementary signs provide the grammar for the language of the road, preventing misunderstandings, preventing chaos. But think about this. If the purpose of any language is clear communication, and road signs are the language of our streets, then supplementary signs are the vital grammatical rules, the punctuation, the modifiers that stop misinterpretation. So what other hidden grammatical rules of the road, other subtle forms of communication might we be overlooking? Things that have just as profound an impact on our daily safety and the smooth flow of our journeys. Maybe it's the subtle signals from other drivers, or the way road markings interact with signs. It's an invitation, really, to drive with deeper awareness. Hashtag tag tag outro. Well, that's all for this deep dive into the silent yet profoundly powerful language of supplementary road signs. Thank you so much for joining us and for taking the time to become a more informed and therefore undeniably safer driver. We truly hope you apply this newfound awareness on your very next journey. Turn every drive into a more conscious, more confident experience.
Absolutely. Drive with knowledge, drive with awareness. Understand that every detail on the road is there for a meticulously designed reason. Continuous learning makes for safer roads, more predictable journeys, and just a better experience for everyone.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and join us for another deep dive soon.